What's up? What's up? What's up? You know what it is. It's another Friday. So we are going to come to you through your smart device, through your computer, through however you are consuming us. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy B Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South, aka Mr. Accept Celebration, aka Breezy. I'm here from the Derby. Yes, we're going to be recording live. The Ball Hog Sports Talk is now officially being recorded live from the Kentucky Derby. So my first time here, excited about it, but we still had to bring you the show. It's sports, business, entertainment. Today's episode is Mind Your Business. And for anybody who's ever uttered those words, you know that we normally say that when you want somebody to just leave you alone. In this particular episode, we're going to talk about the opposite of that, how we have to mind our business in terms of taking care of others and being there for them. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So stick with us. We got a lot to come. Gonna bring it to you the rough, rugged, and raw, the only way we know how, and fasten your seatbelt because again, these topics, man, it's gonna be some good stuff. Fasten seatbelt and let's go. Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke, because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy B Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw. So come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go, 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 go. You know what it is? It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk. We're here live from the Kentucky Derby. My first time here. I got the hat. I got the fashion. You know, we going to do our thing. I'm bringing the game. I'm going to make sure I take a bunch of pictures, drink a whole bunch of bourbon, and talk some of that good old sports talk. Well, it wouldn't be a weekend. It would not be a Kentucky Derby weekend if we didn't start with the Ball Hog Sports Talk. You know what it is, man. It's the crew. I'm your boy. I'm here with my man, the Big Flow Show. What's up, Big Flow?
What's good? What's good, Mr. Bobby? I see you wore a collared shirt to bed. I know you just rolling out to bed, but for you, this has got to be your Super Bowl fashionista, man. I thought I'd see some Cam Newton type attire out of you today, but I think you toned it down.
Hey man, you know on TikTok they do those post game interviews and you know the imaginary interviews with the music. It's supposed to be a post sex interview. That's how I'm gonna feel today when I'm talking about the fashion delivery. I'm gonna come to y'all with an interview, man, how I delivered and what the game plan was going in. I'm about to kill him. I'm about to stunt. I'm about
what
to
you
be
gonna
so
talk to us about the
flawed.
outfit? What you playing for today? What
Man,
you
I got something special for these boys, man. They don't even realize, man.
what you gonna hit them with?
I'm wearing a pair of pants. I don't even know what the color is. I don't even know how to describe the color to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna look them up on Crayola's website or something. But it's a very colorful pair of pants, and I'm gonna be bringing it to South Florida.
The new crayon they're gonna come out with called Bobby Blue.
Bobby Blue. No, they're more like it's like an orange pink. It's like an orange pink, whatever you would describe that as. Coral.
Sounds accidental. Sounds very accidental to me.
I might go real coral on them boys, man. Straight from South Florida on them, man. The other member of the crew, we got our man ETP, Els, the producer. What's up, E?
What's up, baby? I'm just talking about Kentucky Derby. I'm gonna need you to come back and tell us and teach us what a mint julep consists of, because I hear all this mint julep, but I have no idea what goes in it. But it sounds like diabetes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a real sweet drink. I'm gonna try to stick with just the Woodford, straight Woodford. It's one of the big sponsors here. If you don't know anything about Kentucky,
fashioned. Go down and get you a nice old fashioned.
Man, it's a whole bunch of bourbon being drunk around here. So I'm gonna go ahead and participate. But it's gonna be a good time, man. Let's go and get some of this good information in terms of Ball Hog Sports Talk, in terms of sports business entertainment, before we start the weekend off. We would be remiss because May being this being the first Friday in May, so our first episode in Mental Health Awareness Month. Let's take just a real brief moment of silence. That moment of silence was not only for just in general, anyone struggling with mental health issues. We have talked about it on the show as it pertained to Simone Biles and the Twisties. We talked about it throughout the NBA playoffs as it pertains to Ben Simmons. We have on this show tried to offer sound advice and tell those who might be struggling with something to get the proper counseling that they need, and to shun that old sort of it was a bad stigma, if you will, to even go get some advice, to get counseling in the Black community. So we've shunned that. In addition to us taking a moment of silence for all of the people struggling with anything related to mental health, specifically that moment of silence was for a young lady named Lauren Burnett. That name probably doesn't mean anything to most people, but Lauren Burnett was a softball player at James Madison University, and she committed suicide. Was struggling with some things and committed suicide. Lauren Burnett is the third college athlete in a very short amount of time that unfortunately committed suicide. And I think Lauren Burnett, hopefully, is a wake-up call for a lot of us that the pressures that go along with being on a college campus, the normal but abnormal emotional roller coaster that goes along with being a college athlete, it takes a toll on people. And so in this episode, Mind Your Business, we're going to get into a lot of business-related topics, but the idea of mental health awareness and minding your business, I think that has to be a central tenet. That's got to be a part of your business. A part of your business and things that you're taking care of has to include making sure that mentally, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're contemplating doing something to harm yourself, make sure you mind your business and take care of your mental health. With that, let's hop in, man. It is sad. The third college athlete in about maybe a 3-month span. It was a very short amount of time. When I read the article, it sort of made me feel like, wow, like we're talking NIL and we're gonna get to that, and we're talking about the wins and losses, but the most important victory that we need to have on a daily basis is waking up with the right attitude and having something to live for. I'll let you guys weigh in before we move on.
Suicide doesn't make sense to most people because, you have never thought about doing it. It doesn't make sense. So I always just imagine what kind of suffering you go through that would make you think that that's the option, because it's so far away from anything that's ever crossed my mind.
Right.
So, I'll never understand that. I feel so bad for the parents. Obviously, as a parent myself of a college age student, you're so excited when your kid leaves for school that you've done it. If they're a college athlete, they fulfilled a dream that they probably talked about and worked so hard, and the family worked so hard to get towards. And then just to see it cut short like that is like, man, you give all the other accomplishments away just to have them back. So it's a tough situation. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand how someone could do that knowing the pain that it's going to cause in the wake. So, I'd like to learn more, see the signs. Hopefully my kids are never going through it. But if I see the signs of somebody else, I could do something, to stop it. But it's a horrible situation and everyone loses. So, again, thoughts and prayers with the family.
And they've canceled James Madison University. They've canceled the softball season. You can understand that her teammates, we're talking in general about noticing the signs. You can imagine that her teammates feel a pretty heavy burden. The parents, obviously, that they didn't see the signs. So they've canceled the season for James Madison University. They will not play softball this season. There could be arguments made about maybe they should play as a way to have an outlet for those emotions and win one for the Gipper type thing and rally behind her honor, in her name. But very, very sad situation. ETP, I'll let you get final word before we move into some of the weekly sports commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I just echoing a lot of those sentiments. Suicide is it's a very hard to understand thing because you can never go back and ask why, right? Like the person that made that decision, everybody has their own reasons and their own challenges that they're fighting. So it's a really hard thing to understand and reconcile. And I just feel for the people that are affected by it because I've seen and experienced situations where there are people that have committed suicide, and it just dealing with death is hard in and of itself. And then a situation like that where somebody voluntarily, in some respects, voluntarily took their own life, it leaves the people that love them, that were close to them, with a lot of questions while they're grieving.
Right.
So it's pretty extreme, and again, like it's very, very serious. I think if obviously PSA, if anybody's having those types of thoughts, and before they make those decisions, make sure that they talk to the people that they care about, or talk to somebody that they don't know, because you can't come back from it.
Yeah. I guess it's also worth analyzing for us whether or not our conversations, because we have a responsibility too, right? Whether or not our conversations, let's focus in on Ben Simmons, for example. I was one of the people, and not to be a victim of the moment, I still might be one of those people that sort of not questioned whether or not there was some validity to his mental health claim, but I thought the timing of it was a little off. And it turns out that he really did have back issues. He has to have surgery, but people question that. And maybe I was wrong. I wasn't alone. There have been pundits on television questioning whether or not mental health should be applied to the conversation related to Ben Simmons for a while now. And I guess because it's not an injury where you can see it, right? It's not like a broken finger where it's clear that, that swollen finger is broken. It's not something you can see and identify. I'm just going to say that I'm going to be a little more responsible about how I handle the conversation when it comes to Ben Simmons.
I'm not.
You're not. Why you're still not buying? Only because we just don't know, right? We don't know just how deep it is. We're saying we're basically acknowledging that there is no real way to determine if someone is mentally at a place of despair. So when he says he's having mental health issues and needs to undergo counseling, how are we to question him?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't mean that to dismiss or discount mental health. I think with Ben Simmons, my issue has always just been the convenience and timing of certain messages, right? So, and also the proposed remedy for the mental health issue. When he raised it as a mental health issue, it was, I need to be traded to another team. Like, that's not a prescription you'll get from a mental health professional on how you can, address your mental health. Like, if you need to address your mental health, I would think that there's other measures. So the timing, I don't question whether or not he had mental health issues. Now this whole thing with his back, everybody's saying, oh, well, now we should shut up. And everybody was, condemning him. But if he had said from the beginning, I have a back problem, I think a lot of the backlash that he got would have never came into fruition. Like, never. It would have just been, he's injured. Yeah, what's that?
You think it's a fake surgery?
I'm not saying it's a fake surgery.
Who's to stop someone from saying he's having surgery? He just
Big Flo is saying it's a fake surgery.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm saying though. What the thing that bothered me about the back thing? And I apologize cutting you off, E.
No worries. What? I didn't do that.
Yeah, you didn't do it. But
I'm not offended.
No worries. We'll get Big Flo's show back. But I think Big Flo was saying that indeed, he
questions the validity or credibility
of it. And who knows, right? Who knows? I think the timing of it when it came to mental health was always a concern. But again, I use that name, Lauren Burnett, because I don't know Lauren Burnett, but I know the story is tragic.
Internet.
And so I say her name just to say I'm giving myself pause. I'm checking myself, right, when it comes to these type of conversations, because the last thing you would want is to find out the hard way when it's far too late that indeed that person's cry for help, however untimely it was, however, trivial it might have seemed at the moment, too late is too late. So anyway, go ahead, Big Flow Show.
I'm sorry,
you were
guys.
saying.
I got prepaid internet over here. I'm looking for an internet sponsor. So sometimes I got to take a time out, rolling blackout or something. I don't know. But no, I think the mental health aspect, I kind of mirror what ETP says is the convenience of it seemed a little interesting there. And not that it's convenient. And I guess the other side of the coin could be, maybe you hold off forever and then you don't want to talk about it. And then you finally had to be honest. So I'm going to just kind of say somewhat neutral, but to the side of, I don't believe him. But then when it comes to his back, it's their fault because they kept saying he wasn't playing for back soreness, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember a long time ago, Derrick Rose was saying he didn't want to play because when he's older, he didn't want to go to meetings and be sore. Sore
Right.
is such a soft, like, you get sore when you lift weights. You get sore when you do yard work or whatever. So sore is such a minimal description for pain. I don't want to hear that of a millionaire. I want to hear he has excruciating pain and he can barely get out of bed, and that's why he couldn't play. That sounds a little bit better. He's on so many painkillers. Just
right. But look at this comment. Thanks, Glass Bart, for sharing that. For those of you who are listening by way of podcast, I'll read it to you. This comment from one of our live audience members, my man Glass Bart, says, y'all need to bring me on the show to discuss this topic. I just had neck surgery after seeing 9 doctors and several individuals telling me it was mental health, and it wasn't. And so he offers that and that comment, and thank you for sharing that. But that's where I'm trying to be at least open to the idea that Ben Simmons, those two things might have been connected. His back issue and whatever he was thinking was affecting him mentally. Those two things could have been connected. We don't know that for sure.
So
I never heard the connection between
that. You could absolutely be right. You could absolutely be wrong. All I'm saying is, if I'm a professional athlete and I don't want to do whatever is being asked of me, if you ask me which option I'm going to choose in terms of my alibi, it's going to be my back, because 1, you can't tell me how bad my back hurts, and 2, I'm paid to physically be somewhere and perform. And so if my back is the issue, I can have mental health problems, but which one is a more acceptable and digestible, rational alibi or reason that you can't go out and play basketball to the current landscape? Nobody looks at the injury report and says, "Oh, is his ankle really hurt? Is it really his finger that's jammed?" Like that, nobody questions that. And in the amount of injuries we see in sports in general nowadays, especially basketball, just say it's your back. But like you went from it's my mental health. I need to be traded because of my mental health. Now I'm traded. I'm having back soreness. Oh yeah, I might be ready for Game 4 of the NBA playoffs before an elimination. Nah, never mind. I gotta go get surgery. And I'm not saying he doesn't need surgery, but like, you need a better publicist, dog.
He does. Yeah.
I think he needs a dark-skinned publicist. That whole communication was just real light-skinnish. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing. I mean, and I got you 2 light-skinned brothers here analyzing, so I know it must have been bad. It was real bad, y'all.
ETP sound like he would have played too. You're the only one out there on injured reserve out there. With your collar shirt, with your button up to the top in your breakfast.
All the way to the top, man.
making me claustrophobic.
Drinking mimosas at 6. My fault.
Hey man, stop snitching on me, man.
I was dry snitching.
You dry snitching. Look, man, I bring up Ben Simmons when we're talking about this just because he has been the most public person in the sports limelight that we've talked about this whole mental health thing. And so I don't know. Look, I would love to have you on, Glass Bart. First and foremost, hope you're well, my brother, and glad you got to the bottom of your situation physically. But bringing Ben Simmons up makes me question, and I would love to hear your answer. Normally, when there's a blockbuster trade, we ask who got the best of the trade. With this particular trade, because Ben Simmons is what he is, we just discussed him. But James Harden hasn't played particularly well. He has proven that against my Miami Heat, we're up 2-0. James Harden has proven that he cannot win without Joel Embiid. And it forces me to ask the question, who got the worst of this trade? Because, Ben Simmons and James Harden, like, who got the worst of the trade? That's what I'm starting to figure out. Like, we got to ask a different question for this particular trade. It's so unique, and these players are so I'm trying to be careful with the words. They
liabilities.
Fine, I'll use liability. There's such liabilities to their respective organizations, their respective locker rooms, not only on the court, as we've seen with James Harden, but seem to be cancerous in the locker room too. Who got the worst of the trade?
I mean, it's funny because when that happened, I said Brooklyn won the trade specifically for Seth Curry. Ben Simmons and James Harden were basically pushed. Like, it was 1-for-1, but right. I thought Seth Curry was going to help Brooklyn in the postseason. Right. Obviously, that didn't play out just because Boston Celtics are too amazing of a professional basketball organization. Legendary. But I digress. But with that being said, I think that, I mean, ultimately, look, James Harden is contributing more to his team than Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons added to the circus, and they basically just took on this contract. This man didn't play at all. At least you can make a case that since Embiid is out, you can't really hold James Harden fully accountable. Obviously, he's playing at a subpar level. That's what we know him to do in the playoffs. But at the same time, there's no other really consistent offensive option. So he's being targeted. Maxey can only do so much. So I don't put as much emphasis in terms of James Harden just being a total failure in terms of the trade. Now, if they sign him, if he takes his player option, sucks for the Sixers. If they extend him on a max deal or whatever and pay him for the next 4 or 5 years,
shame on them.
Then they're in it. Then they're really stupid, and they lost more than Brooklyn because with Ben Simmons, who knows? They just let him. They'll waive him, pay him till the year 2050 while buy him out. But Brooklyn lost. Brooklyn lost this completely. Ben Simmons, they should. And how did he? Okay. How did he pass his trade physical if he had to get back surgery?
And
these are questions I don't understand.
Well, this question from someone who is joining us and participating by way of YouTube, Jay Crick. I appreciate the question. Again, for those who are listening, James Criddle. For those who are listening, I'll read the question. It says, as 3 athletes who played at a higher level than any of us internet warriors, can you guys tell us how involved the medical team is involved in these things, even though they are team controlled? I've said that forever. There's a conflict. Your question to respond, your question, Ellis, how did he pass the trade physical, is because I think that when the trade happens, or let's not even talk about just that trade, anytime a player goes into that training room, there's already a mandate that has been expressed to the training staff. So I think there's an inherent conflict at all times when it comes to the training staff versus the actual condition of the player. His back status, the status of his back, the injury, in week 1 of the season is different than going into game 4 when you're down 3-0. And the medical profession shouldn't be that way. That's always a challenge. There's a conflict because there's the team has its intentions, the team has its needs, the team and its front office will express to the training staff what those intentions and needs are. And then a lot of times the diagnosis is made because of those intentions and needs that the team has. That's an inherent conflict. And it always happens. How did Ben Simmons pass the trade physical? Because the team needed Ben Simmons to be on that roster.
And he didn't say his back hurt.
The thing about it is, so I mean, the way that I understand it to work, and if anybody's watching or listening and knows, let us know that I'm wrong, but they can find things in the physical, and the team has the choice to terminate the deal. Right. So they could have identified that he had a back issue, but chose not to opt out of the trade as a result, because it was obviously a very unique situation. They needed to move one albatross away and take on a new one from the other team. And they were like, well, I'll trade your garbage for new garbage and we'll switch. And that's going to be how it goes.
It's called swap meet. That's swap
exactly.
meet.
So it's like,
swap shop.
If there's anything better than problems, it's new problems. So let's just trade.
Right.
Yeah, but also if you go rewatch him walk around, like he obviously doesn't have that type of debilitating pain, right? He's moving around with his little granimals on the sideline and stuff. I think that if you walk into the physical, you say you're fine. You've never mentioned back. Correct me wrong. He's never mentioned this back issue when he was at the Sixers, right? Like this all just came up when they wanted to have him back.
Supposedly he did. But I guess what I'm saying is,
did he? Okay, I don't know.
What I'm saying is why lead with mental health? Because if you're injured, you get paid, right? Like if you're physically injured, you get paid. Like there's no reason that he shouldn't. Like the fact that he's like, fine, I'll come to practice and be on my phone because I don't want to be here. Like, just say your back hurts, dog. Like that's all you had to do.
Yeah,
especially if it's true.
Yeah,
like you don't have to make it up. Like you do, that's the thing. Like now we're like, everybody was too hard on Ben Simmons. I'm too hard on his team. Like, and I mean his publicist and his manager and his agent. Like, why would you be on the phone with your client and be like, oh, so you're sad, dog, and your back hurts? Let's just say you're sad, dog. Just say you're injured. Be on injured reserve.
We need to start a new expansion team and put Harden, Simmons, and Westbrook on the team. That'll be they'll sell out. They'll mess around and win the championship. Like the negatives make the positives.
Yeah, they'll come together.
There's a math problem out there waiting to happen.
Misfits of success. The other NBA news, because I do want to get to this, because there was a hard foul in the Memphis and Golden State series that could change the entire series. In game one, and we talked about it, there was a flagrant 2. Draymond Green grabbed a jersey and got a flagrant 2 and got ejected from the game. There was a whole analysis as to, the NBA is getting soft. How's that a flagrant 2? Well, Dillon Brooks was like, yo, hold my beer. Because within the first 3 minutes of game 2, you've got Gary Payton Jr. or Gary Payton II is on a fast break, and Dillon Brooks comes running into the picture like a safety coming off the hash and straight takes him out of the air. Gary Payton II lands on his elbow, breaks it. Obviously, Dillon Brooks gets a flagrant 2 also after the fact. Flagrant 2 gets ejected, but after the fact, they didn't suspend him for a game. Steve Kerr was like, hey, man, there's hard fouls and then there's a certain code. You never risk someone's career. Like, he violated the code. Do you think he went that far? It was a hard foul. Dillon Brooks, I think, got caught in a moment. But normally you see those type of fouls, towards the end of the game when we can't give up a basket. This was 3 minutes into the game. And it was a hard foul. I don't like to take the outcome and use that as my litmus test for the situation itself. But Gary Payton did break his elbow. Do we think Dillon Brooks, that foul, was it out of bounds? Is there a hard foul? And then this is sort of a code breaking. You never do this with one of your fellow colleagues. It's a fraternity that is the NBA. We're all in it. Was Dillon Brooks, did he violate that with that foul against Gary Payton II? Because according to Steve Kerr, he did. And Steve Kerr, while he's obviously a homer and looking out for his own team, Steve Kerr does have that sort of nod of approval that he's been in the locker room. This just isn't a coach that learn by doing videos. He's been in the locker room. He's a part of that Bulls run that was an amazing run. And so when he says that, it has a different sort of feel to it than other coaches. Did Dillon Brooks violate that code, that the unwritten code that players have amongst themselves?
Go ahead. So I think that I watched it, right? And it's hard because when you watch it in slow motion, it absolutely looks like he broke the code. But when you watch it in like real time, it looks like a hard play. He's trailing from behind. He went for the ball. He hit him in his head. Like, I don't look at that as like a non-basketball move. I think it's unfortunate for sure, but I'm concerned because the real issue is that he broke his elbow. And I get that if he had never committed the foul, he doesn't break his elbow. But if he doesn't break his elbow, I don't think he gets suspended. So it's two things I think that are just getting confused. But I personally don't think he broke the code. If you look at Draymond Green's foul, Draymond Green didn't make a play on the ball at all. From a certain angle, he hits dude straight in his face. And then when he goes up to shoot, he grabs his jersey. And he's basically, his argument was, oh, my hand was on his jersey. And then he jumped. That absolutely wasn't the case. So one got an ejection, the other one got an ejection and a suspension. But I don't think Dillon Brooks did because it was a basketball play. It was unfortunate. It wasn't, if you want to go back and look at like playoffs in the 80s, like you'll see what the code was back then versus now.
Right. But Draymond Green, not to defend him, but he did try to sort of prevent him from falling. Dillon Brooks
after he hammered him in his face and tried to pull him down when he went up in the air.
But he did try to prevent him from falling. Dillon Brooks wasn't preventing nobody from falling. That was a Ronnie Lott tackle off the hash, too deep, and you tried to throw the ball in the seam, and he came and smashed his face. You think he broke the code, Big Flo Show?
You said earlier, you can't look at the results, but you can. Like, look in the law. If you drive drunk, you get a DUI, you get trouble. You drive drunk, you kill somebody, you get vehicular manslaughter. It's the same thing. You were driving drunk. One of them, you just happened not to kill anybody. But the reason why it's illegal is because you could potentially kill somebody. So you have to look at the result, and you have to say it. Like, you don't do fouls a certain way because of what could have happened to Gary Payton. You don't do that. And when it happens, you have to treat it worse. When somebody does something, Draymond could have done something, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at the result. I think you can't just punish the actions the exact same way. So the fact that Draymond's didn't result in someone being hurt, that goes into it. If somebody gets bust the elbow, you're liable. Just like in the court of public opinion and the court of law. So I think it broke the code because of what happened. Now, it's different. You go up and somebody comes down and just crazy. The other day, somebody got pulled off the rim and landed on their neck. I don't know what game that was. If dude is hurt, you're suspended for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Dude popped up. We look at you. I think it was a Dallas game. I don't know if you guys saw that. The guy got pulled off the rim, and literally I thought he was going to be paralyzed. He landed on the back of his head after a dunk. Dude is hurt. To me, you can't play no more, man. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
Luckily, he popped up. So that's how I see it. So it's past the code because he got hurt.
Yeah, and Gary Payton, man, he fought to be in that position. And he's had quite an impact on that team. So feel unfortunate for him. His elbow didn't quite look like the guy who tried to rush the stage with Dave Chappelle. I don't know if you saw that, but
that was fantastic. I'm glad they showed that. If anyone hasn't seen it, Google it. They need to show that all the time so that people don't do stuff like that.
Why would you try to rush the stage? I mean, do you think that Will Smith and let's get in and out of this one quickly, but what would possess you to rush the stage? In this episode of Mind Your Business, we talk about mental health. You got to be really unstable to rush the stage.
Yeah, weapons too. He had like a gun with a knife taped to it or something like that.
He ready for war.
They beat his face in.
What do you have to be doing mentally?
They beat his arm backwards.
You're going to a comedy show,
pictures,
dog.
And then they took pictures. I'm so happy they did that. I'm a sadistic person when it comes to justice. I think when people rush the stage or rush the field, they should beat you so bad that it looks like not a fun thing to do. The problem is they stop showing the stuff, and you don't know how bad that got. A lot of people's arm turned out like that when they go on the field, but we never hear about them. Show the pictures.
That man's arm was backwards.
I know I'm literally backwards. I know that. I know I'm not rushing.
Yeah, I'm not rushing. If I was thinking about it,
I'm not rushing Dave Chappelle.
this would be a good time too, man. Before we get
His
into the
arm
rest,
was so broken, it
broken.
didn't look broken. It just looked like it was on the wrong way.
Yeah, it looked like they put it on Mr. Potato Head.
like a broken G.I. Joe.
Mr. Potato Head, they put your arm
Was he
on wrong,
born
bro.
like that?
This would be a good time because we're gonna talk about the rest of the playoff series. But before we move on, man, I'm gonna share a story. I was in Boston this past weekend. And the reason I'm sharing it here, because you would think a guy that's going to a comedy show, you're going to a comedy show, mentally, where do you have to be in order to have weaponry on you? You're supposed to be chilling, feet up, relaxing, laughing. A similar situation happened to me this weekend. I was in Boston for an AAU basketball tournament, and a very huge complex, like the Mills or something up in Boston area. But thousands of people are in a gym. We just finished playing a game, and we look up, and the entire gym is running towards us. Now, first time my kids ever experienced that, but I'm from the hood. When everybody running towards you, I'm not going to sit and ask questions. You just run. So I didn't grab the kids. I went back for them, though. I went back. My instincts kicked in too quick. I forgot that I was dad first. But I went and got him. Like, come on, man. Come on, y'all. Yeah. But no, it's a good opportunity to have a conversation with them. Then you hear these words.
Running? How come y'all didn't run?
You see me
run. Y'all quicker than me anyway.
All that track practice we doing, y'all just get moving.
You raised them too nice. They were sitting there like,
right,
watch it.
Right. They're sitting there just like yo, you don't see all the people running at us. But then we heard some words as people ran towards us, active shooter. And those words, man, you guys can attest. I tested you. Hearing those words and seeing people running towards you was just it was a gut-wrenching feeling. And so I'm joking, but because you gotta laugh sometimes to stop from crying. But that moment was a scary moment, man, when you're there with your kids. And you get outside and things finally calm down. And then I was made aware that this all happened because some parent was arguing with another parent. They got into a fist fight, and the guy pulls out a gun in a packed gym full of kids, parents, humans. And luckily the gun jammed, so he didn't get a shot off.
Oh, he tried to
shoot. So this guy is going to go to jail, and he should. But I share that story in this episode of Mind Your Business because mentally, where do you have to be mentally to think that I'm going to go in and watch this game and I'm going to make sure I have my gun with me? Where do you have to be mentally to think that you can pull a gun out with thousands and thousands of people just watching AAU basketball and it's okay? Where do you have to be mentally to be that engaged in a game that someone can make you that angry that you're going to pull out a weapon? But it also, I share it here because I think it makes it important for those of us who describe ourselves as sane, sound mind. Just assume everybody else is crazy, right? Because you get in that confrontation, there's no way you think they're going to pull out a gun, and lo and behold, someone is that mentally unstable that they have a gun. Most important, like, stop taking it so serious, man. AAU basketball, I think, and I've talked about it on this show several times. Everyone thinks that their kid's going to the NBA. Everyone takes the game so serious. My kids, my family, we were in a bad situation with the entire gym running towards us, feeling as though like death was incumbent. Death was upon us because of AAU basketball. Now, I didn't think, and we were in the mean streets of Westford, which is a suburb of Boston. It was about as lily white as possible. This brother, yes, he was black. He's going to go to jail for a long time, and he should. And he should. Because the terror and the frighten, the fear that he caused, we were also frightened. He should go to jail for a long time. But I bring it up here just because we're talking about NBA, and everyone thinks their kid's going to the NBA, man. It's a very scary moment. I'm glad that everyone's okay, but I hate that it had to happen. And I know you've had some experiences. I'm sure you both have had experiences at, youth sports events. You see people flying off the handle and acting ridiculous, but This man drew a gun. God was on all of our side, man. The gun jammed, but my goodness gracious.
We had a local football team out here. I won't name them and clown them on air, but one of the dads shot another one of the dads at the game, and in this no snitch thing, nobody told who it was. The kids the next year still on the team. Dude who shot the other dude, they had the same games right now. They just.
I don't believe in. I think again, our community, we got this whole no snitch policy. There was an undercover police officer from Connecticut that was there who tipped the Westford, Massachusetts police officers off to who the gentleman was with the gun. I'm happy he snitched on him, because if you think that is how you should go into a game, an AAU game, with a gun strapped to your waist.
Was it the last day of the tournament?
This was the last day of the tournament.
Did they call the rest of the tournament?
It was over immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. And this particular team had a sponsor and all of that. So I don't know what the ramifications would be long term.
Was it the last day? It was the last day?
It was the last day of the tournament.
But championships never happen?
It's a circuit. So it's not like a championship. Like,
and nobody got any money back.
No one got any
money
GNBA?
Back.
Say again?
Was it the GNBA? What was it? Or
it was which tournament was it? It was
NYBO or no?
No, it was not A game. It was one of those marquee hoops. Okay. That's what it was. Marquee hoops tournament. So big tournament. It was a circuit, but everyone left at once. But you don't deserve to be in games. You don't deserve to be on the streets. You don't deserve, like, that means mentally you're not stable. And in this episode, Mind Your Business, when we're talking about mental health awareness, some people just they're not aware that they're not mentally stable. But if you walk into a gym with kids for AAU basketball game, and a part of your outfit, I'm derby fashion, a part of your outfit is to put a gun on your waist, you're not mentally fit to be, you're unstable.
Yeah,
you're unstable.
You shouldn't be around regular people.
You're unstable. You shouldn't be around regular people. So, unfortunate, man, but wanted to share it here because we talk a lot about the spirit of AAU and the spirit of youth sports and these parents being delusional. That was a different level of delusion, man, to think that was okay. The rest of the NBA playoffs, man, you talk about Bucks, Celtics. The Celtics did bounce back. They tied it at 1-1, much to the pleasure of one of us. One of the three of us is very happy about that outcome. I won't say his name. He's the one who always wears the Celtics hats. Phoenix
it's hard work being great, my man.
Oh, gosh. Sorry. Phoenix is up on Dallas 2-0. Luka looked good, but Phoenix is just too much. You have Miami over the 76ers. We're up 2-0. Miami Heat, who's probably going to win the World Championship this year. We're up 2-0, but the 76ers look very bad. They look very, very, very bad. It's been bad. And then you got Ja Morant and Steph Curry in their duel. It's tied at 1-1. Ja Morant is showing that he is a certifiable star in this league, right? He's one of the best of the best. I don't know who's going to win that series. Losing Gary Payton might affect that series. But Ja Morant is must-see TV at this point. I think he dropped like 47 the other night, 47, and he's in rare air that only 40, LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. When you start comparing your stat line to the people in that upper echelon, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, it just shows you what type of playoffs he's having. Ja Morant is must-see TV. He's
easily the most entertaining guy in the NBA. Easily.
Yeah. I saw a stat.
Most entertaining guy in the NBA, easily Ja Morant.
I saw a stat with like social media views, like individual player social media views of the playoffs, and he had like 120 million, and the second was, I think, Steph Curry at like 66 million.
Wow. But
he also jumped over a man.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's one.
You know what though? Watching his game is like when you tune in for a Tyson fight. Like you don't want to miss it because you know something spectacular might happen.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. You know, man, with Tyson, even when you knew he was at the end, you never knew when he was gonna do something crazy.
Right.
But this man ducks over a dude. He's like, it was just a guard. And then you got his dad over here, Usher, saying, "You look like me. I'm going to dress like you and come." He's the biggest star right now, the biggest shining star right now.
Yeah, and he's fun to watch, man. He's fun to watch. And they dared him to shoot from outside. All right, cool. It does remind me of what Giannis did last year. Everything that he needed to do to win, he did it. That's what John Morant is doing this year. Everything he needs to do in this particular game 2, they dared him to shoot from outside. All right, cool. I'm gonna make the shot. He is must-see TV, man, and we'll see what happens the rest of that series. Tied at 1-1, great series. It's worth mentioning. Tyler Hero got 6th Man of the Year, and by doing so, became the first, let me make sure I say it right, the first American-born white brethren. He's the first white man to win one of the superlative awards in a decade. If you think about it, we talk about Luka and Joker. They're European-born, but an American-born white man.
That's because them
Tyler Hero getting the 6th Man of the Year in a decade.
That's because
one time with Tyler Hero,
dads
man.
bring guns to the gym and it's scaring the suburban kids away. That's what the travesty is. People cannot get those guys to come out of the hills.
Tyler Hero can't swim though, so
you might be saying
he might not really be white.
There's some stereotypes that are under investigation.
I knew he was going to be a basketball player when he couldn't swim. I just knew it. Boy, I've been scared of the water since he was born.
Hey man, Tyler Hero. Hey, shout out to him, man. I
gotta apologize to Tyler Hero because I wrote his success off as bubble minutes. Remember that? Like when he was in the bubble, I thought it was all bubble success. I was like, "There's no fans yelling." He said, "All right."
Well, it's funny because it's like, should he have gotten most improved player because he didn't play anywhere near where he played last year, right? That's why everybody wrote it off. It's like, oh, because there's no noise of the crowd, there's no pressure in the bubble, and then he came out last season, didn't deliver.
That's like comeback player of the year because he was cold in the bubble, so you can't get most improved when he was this good in the bubble.
To be fair, in the bubble, it was restricted to playoffs. I mean, he's had an amazing season. In the bubble, we learned who Tyler Hero was because he had a run in the playoffs.
The mentality, at least. Yeah.
So can we say COVID helped him? Does this not happen if he doesn't have that playoff run, that experience, and he just could block the crowd out?
Nah, he could play, man. That kid could play.
I mean, he walked in and said, he was like, I'm on the level of Luka, Trey, all of them. And
everyone thought he was crazy at first.
Bobby thinks he's a superstar.
Tyler Hero?
He's a superstar.
He's a 6th
You don't ask the South Florida native if there's anybody on the Miami Heat that's
I think Tyler Hero is a superstar. Absolutely. He's a
baller.
No, you don't. Tyler Hero's a
Kendrick
baller.
Nunn.
You decided it took you a little while to decide.
Udonis Haslem, superstar.
He's good at basketball. Can't you be good at basketball and be a superstar?
I'm just saying it's tough
Are
to
you
call
either
him
a bum or a superstar
if he's not in the starting lineup. That was my only challenge. That's the only reason I hesitate.
He doesn't start.
I thought you were going to undermine my point by saying he was a 6th Man of the year.
You see
I like this question. Is he AI 2.0? Talking about John Morant. Is he AI 2.0? And I normally don't like doing that because I want him to be John Morant 1.0. But there's a lot of comparisons there that you just can't shy away from. And AI has even talked about it. I don't think his handle is as deadly as AI, but he's a better scorer than AI. And I think in terms of his ability to shoot, he's proven that, he can have his percentages such that he doesn't shoot his team out of the game. And when AI got cold, he never really mastered the field goal percentage game. He just kept on shooting.
Pass.
Yeah, the art of passing or selecting the right shot. John Morant seems to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, John Morant is a basketball kamikaze. Like, he's trying to kill anybody, even if it means he dies in the process.
He actually kind of reminds me more of Derrick Rose. The way he
young Derrick Rose, young Derrick
so
Rose,
hard to the basket coming on and just cannot stop him from beating you on the dribble.
I'll give you that. Derrick Rose, I think, is a better comparison.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he stays
Let's hope
healthy.
not. Actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, if he get hurt, y'all gonna be mad at me next week.
Yeah.
Nah,
Why'd
man.
you say
Hopefully,
that?
yeah. Let's
I hope he
knock
doesn't
on
wear
wood.
Adidas. He doesn't wear Adidas, does he?
My
Derrick Rose gets paid by Adidas. His brother gets paid by Adidas.
I remember when that happened, man. I stopped letting my son used to wear the Adidas.
Gotta be the shoes.
I got him some Nikes for sure. We got to change them up. I got him some Nikes real quick.
Gotta be the shoes, money. Let's talk about some NFL, man, because DeAndre Hopkins unfortunately failed a test and for PEDs, and he came up with the classic. What was the response? Big Flow Show. What's the classic response?
The classic response, I think you Google and say, "What do I say when I get caught with drugs?" And he said, "I didn't put anything in my body. It must have been something in one of the things, but I'm responsible for. I didn't take anything intentionally, but I'm responsible for everything that goes in my body. So for that, I apologize."
Got 6 games, man. 6 games suspension. D Hop. Hate to see it. We'll see how that impacts the Cardinals. Just when you thought that Kyler Murray was going to have weaponry around him for 6 games, he's going to be a little short. DeAndre Hopkins won't be there. Hollywood Brown will be there. Hollywood Brown going to the Cardinals. It seems as though Lamar Jackson was a bit shocked by his decision, taken aback by it a bit, with the looming contract extension and seeing whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to stay. Do you think Hollywood Brown leaving, does that impact whether or not Lamar Jackson wants to be a Raven long term? No?
Where's he going to go?
You come to Cleveland, we'll figure it out. You go wherever you want. What you mean? Wherever you
I'm
want.
saying, like, the Ravens is a good organization for him. They've embraced him. There's other receivers that can come. You gonna leave now and go where? Is there some team that's got a flock of receivers that needs a quarterback that we're missing?
Yeah, I mean, I think your point is valid, right? It's the organization explicitly has stated that they designed their offense around his skill set. So the idea that he would go somewhere else and have more success is not as likely. But if your pieces start leaving and they're not, you don't have the team around you, then it's hard to continue. I mean, look at Russell Wilson, man. Like, Russell Wilson left. So
took a while.
It took a while, but Russell Wilson also wasn't in the driver's seat in terms of his contract in the same way, right? So Lamar Jackson's just been sitting.
Who's the quarterback away right now? Who's got pieces that we're thinking about? It's probably a question we should ask before to think about it. But who's full of receivers and got a good running back and can block and do all that stuff that just needs that quarterback?
I mean, that's pretty much the whole league. I only say quarterback away is the whole league because it's a league that proves you can only win by quarterback. Miami is a good example. I mean, we'll see what the 49ers are.
He's from South Florida too, right?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is from South Florida,
yeah.
But you can't win without a quarterback. So everyone would love to have.
No, I get it. Maybe I oversimplified it, but I'm thinking like NFL receiver, you're good, right? But like when you think about like, okay, he's one of his goons left. So who's got goons but doesn't have a quarterback?
Oh, gotcha. You know what I mean? Who's that's a good question. Fair question. I would say San Francisco, and I would say the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll say the Dolphins. But not having DeAndre Hopkins, we'll see, because Kyler Murray's also in line for a big contract soon, and they've tried to make sure that they do whatever they can to keep him as a Cardinal. We'll see what happens with them, but they might be a quarterback away. Who knows?
That would be I think they got so much talent over there, man.
Yeah. I like what the Cardinals have done in their front office, man. People who still don't know where they will be next year. Deebo Samuels, that I thought that would have played out during the draft.
Reach
it
out
did
to
not.
Debo. Could you imagine both of them on the same team?
Great, a lot of talent, and then you got
a read option and just going like straight college game.
Your question, who's a quarterback away? There's one quarterback that still doesn't know where he'll be. Baker. I ain't gonna mess up his name. Baker Mayfield. Still undecided.
There's plenty of leagues now. You got the USFL.
You put the man in the USFL. That's messed up.
See? I'm just saying, he's got options.
Change your name to Kaepernick.
And although the Ravens lost Hollywood Brown, they could get another Brown, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown this week
Disrespect.
weighed in on Kaepernick and basically said he's trash. We shouldn't be feeling sorry for him. He's, he took the bag from Nike. And in this episode, Mind Your Business, he decided not to mind his business. He decided to go ahead and express how he felt. But, we've all said, and people have alleged that because of that big hit, Antonio Brown hasn't been the same. They've alleged him of having CTE. Well, he was expressing himself and saying what came to mind. Do you think he was right when it comes to Kaepernick? Because I've said some similar things about Kaepernick. Like, dude, you're a better activist than our legendary activists, our leaders in our community. You've done more than a lot of them. So just go ahead and embrace being an activist. But at the same time, I've shared some of those sentiments that Antonio Brown had, and I hate to admit that because AB is often off the rails. Was he right in this take?
I think he made a lot of valid points. One thing I'll absolutely say is Colin Kaepernick, I don't know how he is now, but he was not ever trash when he played in the NFL. So that was AB just
was he a
saying
superstar?
What AB says.
Was he? Yeah,
he was a superstar. I mean, he took the team to he was no Andrew Wiggins though.
He definitely was not a Tyler Hero.
but I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, one thing that's interesting is in May being Mental Health Awareness Month. Speaking of AB didn't say I can't play because I'm mentally unhealthy. He said my ankle hurts, but I'm going to take off my shirt and run off the field and never play a game again.
Do jumping jacks in the end zone.
But my ankle know how much surgery my ankle needs.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he said valid things, right? Like, look, at the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick settled, going through arbitration. There's all these details that the general public doesn't know in terms of why he wouldn't have probably been able to make a real case. But once you take the bag, whatever the size the bag was, then it's really hard to, have the support behind you. That being said, if the NFL is legitimately saying that he could come back, he's never gotten a shot. And you got the Raiders owner saying we would love to have him. That's the thing that confuses me.
Right.
You're the owner of the
team.
To
have him if there's any interest by the coach or the
right. Oh, he definitely he qualified it.
Yeah, but we'd love to have him. I don't know. I gotta see what I gotta talk to my people.
I'm not racist. My coaches is racist.
Yeah. I just employed racist. What was on the screen now? I gotta share this for those of you who are listening by way of podcast. Scott Bibb says AB needs Jesus. That's when you you reach the wits end. Like, man, the boy need Jesus. Is like that where we are with AB?
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah. That's the other side of the coin is, you talk about Kaepernick, whether or not he'll get another chance. I think ultimately he's been out of football for too long to get a chance. And that's not being disrespectful to Kaepernick. That's just the land. That's the lay of the land when it comes to NFL. Anybody that's been on the shelf for 5 years now, how long has he been out? They don't really give you a chance. And that's at any position. And that's not a knock on his ability right now. It's just that's just the way it is in the NFL. Now, was he unfairly put into that 5-year, 6-year hiatus? Absolutely. But it just is what it is. On the other side of that, you got somebody who just played last season and could probably help a team. Does AB get another chance?
Could you imagine if AB and Cap end up on the same squad?
On site. We got to fight on site. On site.
You'd be wide open. He'd be like, I got you next time.
Don't even trip. But yeah, I think AB probably gets another chance before Kaepernick, just because Kaepernick's been out for so long. Did you agree with any of his sentiments, Big Flo Show, AB, as he commented about Cap?
I don't know. I mean, you can't go quoting crazy people and saying, "Well, I thought he said this right." I can't do it, so I'm just gonna throw it on.
Evil genius. He might have been
just
evil
throw
genius.
the whole conversation.
The whole conversation. You throwing that. I don't want
to go on record agree with AB.
Very, very fair. He is entertaining though, man. If you want to be entertained, just ask AB a question that could be somewhat controversial. and I guarantee you're gonna be entertained. But he's not as crazy as everybody thinks, man. He was on a show on Sirius XM and answering questions. He's a little deeper than you give him credit for. And the reason he is, I think, trending towards music is because he understands that there's some similarities. The limelight, the performance aspects of it, there's some similarities. And he knows that that's what he needs. That feeds his soul. That feeds his psyche. That is where his mental health is. It's in the spotlight. So we shall see. AB versus Cap. I think AB gets a chance before Cap does. But Cap, look, man, there's a lot of people who are in the air quote retirement phase of their football career that can't do half the things you're doing. The impact that you have on this world and the society is well beyond football. So when you're ready, whenever that is, I hope you fully embrace that, man, because you got a lot to add to this society. I got to get in the Kentucky Derby since I'm down here, man. And I know none of us on this show would consider ourselves, I don't think, racing aficionados, unless anybody has any news to divulge. I don't think we're into the horses like that. But we are into the fashion. So I'll get into the fashion part in a second. But before we do that, we got to at least talk about the horses' names, because I think that's a way that you enjoy the Derby. Do you guys have any Kentucky Derby memories? Any horse that you remember?
I can't say I do.
No,
I don't know.
Gronkowski, right? Isn't that one?
Oh, there was the Haitian one.
That was a pop quiz, and y'all both failed.
The Haitian. What's the Haitian one?
Oh, there was a movie about one. I don't know, man.
There's a movie about one. Yes, there was a movie.
There's one running this year. This Haitian. What's his name again? I told you.
Messier.
Missy. Thank you. Missy.
So let's go through the names. Let's have fun with these names.
It was Monsieur. That's what it was.
Monsieur. The first one is Mo Donegal. And I happen to be in the hotel with the Mo Donegal people, so that's who I'm picking. The second one is Happy Jack. The third one is Epicenter. The fourth is Summer is Tomorrow. I like that name. Fifth is Smile Happy. All right. Then you got your Haitian horse, Messier. Messier. How would you pronounce that in Creole?
Monsieur.
Monsieur. Messier.
I'm guessing because we do phonetic spelling.
It's probably just messier.
That probably is it. We overthink
making it Haitian.
We making it Haitian.
My dad's like that. Horse. Anything that he can pronounce with a French accent makes you Haitian. So I'm his son.
So we're gonna Messier. The seventh horse is Crown Pride. That's pretty boring. The eighth one is Charge It. I like that. The ninth one is Tis the Bomb. All right, like that one. The 10th horse is Zandon. The 11th horse is Pioneer of Medina. I like that. The 12th horse is Taiba, Taiba. 13th horse is Simplification. The 14th horse is Barber Road. 15th horse is White Abario. And the last horse, not the last horse. 16th horse is Cyberknife. 17th horse is Classic Causeway. 18th horse is Tawny Port. The 19th horse is Zozos, which also could be arguably Haitian. Zozos. And the 20th is
all Haitian lineup. I want you to put all the Haitian horses 1, 2, 3 win, play, show for me today.
I got
pay you back if we win.
I got you, man. I bet you will pay me back. The 20th is if we win. Rich Strike. And that horse, Rich Strike, is replacing Ethereal Road. Those are your 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby. Those are the names, and you heard it here on the Ball Hog Sports Talk. And I know who you going with, Big Flow Show. You going Messier? You going with the Haitian horse?
And Zozo. Zozo is definitely Haitian.
Zozo.
Definitely.
But the fashion part of it, man, I'm going loud and proud today. It brings us really to what in sports this week was the fashion event was the Met Gala, and we saw the guy who you call West Brick, whose name is Westbrook. Notice I'm calling you by your name, sir. In what I would call Roddy Piper WWE outfit. That's the new thing with the kilt and the skirts. But there was some interesting outfits at the Met Gala. So make sure you check those out, man. Some good pictures. Did you like thumbs up or thumbs down on Russell Westbrook's? You going thumbs down? Thumbs down. What would you say, ETP? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you like the kilt? I mean, it's the thing now. People wear skirts.
It's not for me, but I respect it. He's confident enough to do it. It's consistent with who he is, but you wouldn't catch me in it.
Yeah,
like a breeze.
My man Scott Bibbs said Westbrook loves wearing the dresses. He does have multiple dresses. I don't think that, if you're not cross-dressing as a man, hey, look, man.
What are you doing?
I don't know what he's doing, man. I don't know. I'm happy to say
as long as he don't have big rubber boots on, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I don't know how that became a thing. Although I need it for today, Derby. It looked like it's clearing up though. Let's hop into WNBA, man, because WNBA starts its season tonight. They tip off with a slate of 4 games. But I don't think we can have a WNBA conversation. While I'm happy that they're starting their season, while I'm happy that I'll get to watch some good basketball, sound basketball. I've been on here several times and said that I like watching WNBA games. I can't have a WNBA conversation without at least acknowledging Brittany Griner is still detained. Now, finally, our country is taking a different stance and saying she's been held against her will. I don't know how that is a revelation. I don't know anyone that would just voluntarily be detained. She's been held against her will.
No, I think they're calling it unjustly held.
Unjustly held.
Wrongfully detained.
I said everybody's being held against their will. I wanted to go to jail. I was cool.
I was cool.
I was nothing else to do.
Take me to jail.
There's people like that. Don't get it twisted.
They are. Look at the dude who thought it was a good idea to bring a gun to a AAU game. He wants to be in jail.
He wants to be in jail. That's just a bad decision, right? So I hope now that our country, the National Department or whoever the powers may be, that have changed their stance and saying that she is wrongfully detained. Mm-hmm. I hope that means that she's got an imminent end to this situation. She gets to come home. I just don't. Again, man, we've said it over and over again. You substitute Brittany Griner with just about anybody, white, man or woman, or as that reporter said, if my white blonde tail was over there detained.
I think any male athlete we probably would try to go get it.
Yeah, they traded prisoners of war last month
for terrorists.
Yeah,
they let terrorists go, and they said, "Nah,
Brittany Griner,
she's a black female that's lesbian."
It's sad.
But how do you wait 3 months? You waited 3 months. Like now she's wrongfully detained. The first 2.5 months, yeah, maybe.
Well, they probably said because they found the hashish or the oils, they were saying that there was some legitimate nature behind why she was detained, because that in Russia is illegal. But she's been a political pawn from the very beginning. And I think that as a country, we should have been treating it that way. The WNBA and even people in the State Department were saying that there were conversations being had behind closed doors. So they were trying to keep the spotlight off the situation. It was hush hush. But I just don't think that any other person, any other celebrity, right, in that situation, like, you can't keep it hush hush. It says a lot about our country that this conversation isn't being had loud. It hasn't been on platforms with powerful people saying, "Free Brittany Griner."
Right.
Free Brittany Griner.
But is it like, oh man, so she's supposed to be playing basketball now? She's wrongfully detained because the season's about to start.
Right. It is funny that it comes up with
like, yo, we don't care about her, but man, the league is suffering now.
Can we at least come out with something saying that we disagree? Because how do we go through the season with our
right? Yeah, how do you go out there and play? Right, you act like it's no big deal. Your roster is one person short. Yeah, you think she's being detained. So free Brittany Griner, free Brittany Griner, free Brittany Griner. Let's do whatever we got to do as a country to make sure that this young lady is return to her home, to her family, I think she's married, to her wife. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. NIL, let's go out with name, image, and likeness. We've talked about it a lot here, but the stakes are now being upped a bit. They're up the ante. In this episode of Mind Your Business, there's a lot of business behind this NIL situation. NCAA is now they're voting to decide whether or not there's going to be some rules around NIL. And they're saying it would be retroactive. So there could be people that are penalized for NIL deals that they did prior to the NCAA stepping up and owning the responsibility of trying to legislate this thing and add some sensibility to the Wild Wild West. The NCAA has been a day late and a dollar short forever. Mark Emmert announced that this is his last year. He can't leave fast enough. They've punted on every major topic over the last 3 years, including how to respond to COVID and how to get players back on the field or on the court, or how to handle the eligibility situation. They've punted on everything, and they punted on name, image, and likeness. So for them to say that they're now going to vote and try to come up with some legislation around how NIL is carried out on respective campuses, they're a day late and a dollar short yet again. But the deals are starting to get bigger. They are more expansive. They're going into all sports. I'm here for it. It'll be interesting to see how this NCAA vote, how it reconciles with where we are with name, image, and likeness, because the train has left the station. It's gone. It's moving. It's a locomotive moving fast. So I don't know how you legislate around that. I'll give you guys, please let me know what you think about it before we get out of here for the day. What do you think? Where are we with name, image, and likeness? Is the NCAA going to come in and save the situation, or is this just theater art? They're just playing around with this vote. What do you think?
I don't know how you start off saying, hey, look, name, image, license, go. No rules. And now I don't like how you did it, so we're going to retroactively say that you created some sort of a problem. Even though no school that I cheer for has benefited from it, I just think it's ridiculous. I think, again, Emmert, hey, I said you couldn't be any worse. You said, hold my beer, right? I'm going to give you this last swan song before I walk out of something worse than I've done yet. I'm going to try to punish all these people on the way out because I said that there's no rules is the rule. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how it goes through. They just didn't, I guess they didn't realize it could be like this. They didn't realize how much money could come across, but you can't get mad at somebody for that. So
got it. ETP.
I mean, we've been talking about this on this show for a year at this point, and we talked about all of the consequences of what these decisions were going to be. It's really ironic that the governing body, quote unquote, that allowed for this to happen because they didn't want to come up off any of their money, said, you guys can go handle name, image, and likeness. We're not even going to apply legal counsel to help navigate this process. We're literally taking our ball, our bag, and going home, and you guys can figure that out. And now there's all this uproar that same organization needs to come back and police something that everybody knew was going to happen. It's theatrical. And I don't mean that in a way where it's like they're just being performative. It's comedy. Like, this is just a joke. There's no reason that any of this should even be a discussion. And have all these pundits and people and coaches and university presidents up in arms about how it's unfair. This is what everybody wanted. And the NCAA told you, go ahead, take it and figure it out. And now chickens are coming home to roost. And then we're all looking back at the NCAA like they're the ones that are going to solve this major fiasco. It's comedy. It's comedy.
Yeah. Well, I hope for all of the student athletes that have entered into agreements under the umbrella of name, image, and likeness, for all of the universities that have built programs around supporting these athletes, I just hope the NCAA doesn't come in and make it worse, because they've had a propensity to do that. And it looks like that's where we're heading yet again. The idea that the rules could be retroactive, like who in the room thought that would be smart? but yet someone did. So in this episode of Mind Your Business, man, it is the first Friday of Mental Health Awareness Month here in May. We talked a lot about making sure that you have your mentals right. Get the support that you need, get the help that you need. We talked about our unfortunate reality that a lot of these student athletes are choosing suicide as their way out. The third young lady did so, Lauren Burnett from James Madison University. Remember her name. When there's someone else in your life that suggests that, you know, they're struggling with something, they're anxious, they're thinking about doing something harmful to themselves, remember that name, Lauren Burnett. Don't take any of it lightly. Don't think, you know, just get over it. Whatever the case might be, make sure that you support them in a way that you, at least if you can't provide the right counseling, that you suggest to them to go get the proper counseling. In this episode, we talked a lot about sports, business, and entertainment, but to us, mental health awareness is very important. We want everyone within the sound of our voice, whether you're listening to us live and watching us or listening to us by way of podcasts, just make sure that you understand that your mind, your mental health is very important. So you make sure you take care of it. Mind your business in that sense and make sure your mentals are good. This has been a great episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. Like we ask you every week, humbly, we ask you, please like, please comment, please share, please tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anybody that you know, and please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. We'll be back next week, bring you sports, business, and entertainment the only way we know how to do it, which is rough, rugged, and raw. I am your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Success Celebration, a.k.a. Breezy. I was here with the crew, the Big Flow Show, and ETP. And for this week, we is out. Peace.